Good evening, Empowered Soul Network people. This is such an amazing day. I've been so dynamically involved in the Empowered Soul Energy. We got all kinds of special events coming up later this week, next week, and I can't think of a better way to wrap up my day than with a good friend and colleague of mine, Kristina Coll. She's calling all the way from Osceola, Iowa, 45 miles way down the road from Des Moines, Iowa. So it's great to have her here. She is the founder and facilitator of the Lighthouse. She is a Reiki master, a breathwork facilitator, and especially coach, a yoga instructor. I've actually done some of that. It's phenomenal. So, Christina, welcome to Empowered Soul Network.
Thank you, Paul. It's so great to be here with you. Finally. I know we've been working for this for a month.
Ships passing in the night sometimes. So let's dive right into it, Christina. Tell us just a little bit about your what all those beautiful accolades about what you do. But I know you've been on a journey from early in your life that leads up to all that. So take us on that journey just a little bit. Were you always interested in the kind of spiritual things when you were a kid, or how did it all work for you?
Yeah, you know what? As a child, I do recall being highly sensitive and empathetic, meaning really tapped into the energies in my environments, not ever really understanding what I was picking up until the last 10 years that I've known you and the Way Showers College, and really got to learn a lot about energy.
Yeah, that's I mean when you were growing up, I hear so many, and I know I experienced it myself, so many people that say that they didn't understand it, yet they had these experiences going on, and often there was this thing of being alone or people making fun of it, or how did that all work for you, navigating school and everything with that kind of sensitivity?
Paul, I've always been incredibly self-aware. So whilst there was this energy happening around me and sometimes in me, because over time I began to realize that I would absorb people's energy or other energies that weren't mine. And now obviously I know how to buffer that. So I'm very grateful for the
Right.
journey that I've been on. Uh, but I I talk to myself a lot and internally, not necessarily always outwardly, but that really helped me in my life. And one of the things that was a big challenge in my home life was not really having anyone that I felt I could talk to about what I was experiencing.
Right. Did you find that friends, did you have any friends that you could connect with, that, or was it kind of being alone in some of it?
Very lonely, very lonely, very outgoing. So a lot of people thought that I was extremely extroverted, and I'd like to say I was extremely balanced because I did have this internal dialogue always happening and a feeling of being alone, but not alone because I always had a lot of friends, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, so I know from you sharing about your career and so forth that outgoingness, being able to meet anybody, that parlayed into your career with people. How did you find that sensitivity helping you as you were helping and engaging other people before you even became technique oriented or whatever, just the naturalness?
I just always had a genuine love for people and connection and just being involved in life. It was a lot of fun. So, as I got older, I got into the hospitality industry maybe around age 12, and I mean, damn near 3 decades I was in the hospitality industry, always just working with people.
Did you notice in other people that they had parallel sensitivities and things?
Yeah,
How did that happen? How did that work for you? Was there an extra engagement with those people, or how did you help them?
very intuitively, I guess. I mean, now just knowing that prophetic gift, but also a high visionary too. So I could just see it in other people, right? Without the languaging to put to it, there was just this genuine connection that would happen. And not really communication around like the similar dynamics and sensitivity back then because I didn't have language for it.
Right.
But yeah, those connections were deeper.
So did you find then, Christina, that working with those kinds of people, that there was this feeling of really going deeper in the service than just the hospitality part, that people would come to you because they sense they just wanted to talk to you, or something how did that work for you connecting with the greater relationships?
Yeah, Paul, I'm so glad that you brought that up because what I recognized was the hospitality industry, my personality and charisma, so to speak, and way of being able to communicate to all walks of life really did draw people in. And I did not know. I didn't have like a knowingness that I was actually being of service in a spiritual coaching way in the hospitality industry until I got out of the hospitality industry and on my yoga mat, which happened at age 31 years old. And over the course of the next actually 2 years, from 31 to about 33, people would just come up to me out of the blue, farmers market, out at the restaurants, and say, "You have no idea how much you changed my life." That I heard a lot. And I also heard a lot that I saved people's relationships and marriages, which I was not alert. I didn't know. I didn't know. I've always had this deep connection with spirit though, and I was channeling. And so there was this thing happening where I was genuinely coaching people while I'm serving them or running bars and restaurants.
I mean that, and I'm glad you shared that because this conversation, I know the people that are listening, a lot of them are coaches and healers and mentors, or they're aspiring to do that. And a lot of times, I don't know that people value how much they actually help other people, even sitting at
Yeah.
their desk in the accounting office, whatever. It's that feeling of, I being me helps others, right?
Yes. Yeah. And these people were not telling me when it happened. I mean, we're talking years later, they would just bump into me and start thanking me and giving
Right.
this gratitude to me. And for me, what I realized and regrouped for myself, why it took so long for these people to come forward, is that I was now in a place where I was really taking care of myself. I was in yoga every single day. I got into yoga teacher training in 2013. I got out of the bar business, got out of the bar scene. I went through a whole phase of
Yeah.
falling off the wagon and getting into drugs and alcohol. And, I have a whole backstory, losing a
Sure.
fiance at the age of 20 years old. So there's things that happen. But when I came onto really like there's something more in my life and it's time to address that and found myself in yoga is when it all started shifting.
I mean that's beautiful. So let's go to that. I know you do incredible amounts of experience with breath work and yoga and of course other healing modalities and techniques that you do. But because it started with yoga, that's such a mainstream thing, and it has been for 50 years that I've known about it. Yoga's been around forever. What is it about yoga that that begins a person's journey?
Well, it's breath to movement. So there's two things happening. We're actually tuning into our breath and getting out of our head, and we're moving our bodies in a way that our bodies are not used to, so to speak. I mean, as a
Yeah.
baby, our bodies are used to moving in that way, but I think over a progression of time, we're no longer moving in those ways. So yoga is getting into these areas that there's stuck energy that has been suppressed or stored over time. and is helping to release those things. And with the breath and the pranayama and the intentions behind it, it really starts to unlock the subconscious mind, which holds all kinds of beliefs and patterns that are running the show as well.
And I know in watching you and I've been in some of your classes that sometimes just the idea that I'm taking time out to do something just for myself is a big change for a lot of people. Is
Yeah.
that true? Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's huge. In fact, Paul, we'll bring it up to today's date. I have a elderly couple that is a regular client of mine now, and the wife has Alzheimer's and dementia, and we are putting in place a care in home. So I'm working with the daughter-in-law, and this we are actually bringing. We right now we've started with breath work, and when we first started with her, it was we got her to sit down for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And yesterday, Paul, I had her yesterday? No, today, this morning. My days are running into each other. This morning, I had her and her husband sit down for 20 minutes. And he asked afterwards, he's like, is there like a time frame that is, you know, any better than other that's going to have, you know, like
Yeah.
random questions like that. And it's simple. No, even 5 minutes a day. If you can stop for 5 minutes a day and tune into your breath, you're gonna experience over the long run huge shifts and transitions. 5 minutes a day, and or 20 minutes a week. The consistency piece is once a week. If you can do yoga once a week or breath work for 20 minutes, anything that's going to get you to stop and tune in once a week, you're going to have huge shifts.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I used to, in other opportunities, talk about we have 168 hours a week,
It's,
and taking 20 minutes out of 168 hours, it makes it sound silly. Why wouldn't
yep.
I want to do that? Whether it's yoga or anything else, it's just taking that time, isn't it, Christina?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now that you've been doing this for 10 years, as you look back on that 10 years, what's been the fulfillment of that? Where has Christina evolved and grown just by being of greater and greater service?
Well, Paul, I've gone from being a workaholic in the hospitality industry and workaholic, we know any aholicism
Yeah.
is actually running from our real feelings, running from who we really are. And as I've gone over the last 3 years, 4 years, extensively into trauma research with my breathwork practitioner certification, we've learned that that is a pattern that gets created because it's a trauma response. So, so I went from workaholic to found yoga at 31, and then quit workaholicism, traveled for a year, kept just one job instead of workaholicism. And then I met my kids' father and started building a family and quit my job altogether. And so I went from one extreme to a complete opposite extreme. So now here I've experienced both polarities, and and had an experience where there was some more deeper layers of healing that needed to happen that thrusted me into breathwork facilitator training. And that's what uprooted my deepest woundings that actually cracked me open to finding the balance. So Christina's in a balanced state now. And, it's fascinating that I feel like everyone's got their own journey. And at some point in life, experiencing the polarities have great value. Like so much wisdom, because now I know what it feels like to be way over here. Now I know what it feels like to be way over here. And now with a healed nervous system and the tools to keep a healed nervous system, I can easily bring myself back to balance if I get back off of balance.
Awesome, just awesome. Describe for our listeners, our viewers, Christina, what are the feelings of being balanced? What can a person look forward
Uh,
to if they discover balance?
well, so there's a couple of key words. Peace, which goes with contentment.
Okay,
And honestly, Paul, it's also a sense, it can actually feel like that sense of loneliness, but not loneliness. If you follow me, that if I feel like the thought might say, oh, I'm feeling lonely, but I can tune into my feelings and I'm going, I'm calm, I'm at peace, I don't have any tension or um holding anywhere. Oh, I'm really living my thrust in my life and I'm on the right path. And the lonely feeling may just simply be that I don't know what's coming yet because maybe there's an unknown. However, I'm believing in possibilities, which is part of my thrust. And that feeling is balance for me.
beautiful. I'm really glad you shared it that way because I can resonate with that. You know, you could speak to this if you like. So often we're so used to carrying the world around with us. It's on our shoulders,
Mhm.
and we're going and we take some deep breaths and we think we're relaxed, but we still got the world on our shoulders, right? And so when you truly get into that state of it's being alone, it's really I've just put the world down for a little bit. So here I am, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
the kind of the energy of it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, huh, like there's really, yeah, like for right now in this moment, I like how you said that. Yeah. I'm just, here I am and I'm truly being me and all my needs are met and
Yeah.
I'm
And,
just being of service the best that I can.
and I think sometimes people go, "Oh wow, that I've never wow, this is a new feeling," and they think something's wrong because they've never felt
Yeah.
that way before. Yeah, okay, what's happening here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
that's
mean, I was just going to share that you see that also in like the elderly. So my client this morning, she's go 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 go, and she was a very successful insurance lady, and just go go go. Had three children,
right.
lost her first husband at 48 years old, and I don't know if two of the children were still in the home. Some of them were still in the home, and so I honestly feel like, um, you know, patience is a key word with people like this. But if you can get them to sit down, I'm sure there's plenty of you out there watching this right now that are maybe experiencing this energy in your life, somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia. And if you can just approach them with patience and get them to sit down with you and just take a couple nice deep breaths and I call it the chair of joy. I'm actually a certified ambassador for Jolie, and we do the chair of joy experience, and I do speaking gigs and stuff for them as well. And we get them in a chair of joy and take them through an experience. And it's just you see them settle and relax and calm. But you also notice like they love it, but they're not sure of it yet because it's new, but they're not sure. But like now I'm what? I started working with her April 16th. So I'm like three weeks in, maybe
Yeah,
two. I
yeah.
don't even know
Two
where we're
weeks,
at
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
And I was able to get her 20 minutes today, which is huge. So I mean, it's amazing. We have
That,
to reprogram our nervous system. Our nervous systems just are haywire just because too much too fast. That is what trauma is. Okay. Trauma is
yeah.
not what happened to us. Trauma is something that has happened too much, too fast that we cannot handle. We cannot process. We don't know how to process. Maybe we don't have the support to process. And so then it gets stuck in the body. And so we need to do something to move it out.
where does Christina Coll see the lighthouse and the effort 5 years from now? What's the dream? What's the projection out there, Christina?
Well, Paul, I'm already on a good projection of doing quarterly retreats. I
Yes.
just did, yeah, they're amazing. I've got a lot of them already scheduled out, and I'm going to be doing a lot of speaking gigs. So I'm already doing a lot of volunteer work at schools. I've taken yoga into elementary schools. I've taken breath work into the IJAG program in high schools, and the IJAG program is specifically for, what do they call it in and you can go to ijag .org. It's a nonprofit that they brought into certain high schools. It's starting to get even more mainstream, and
Okay.
it's geared towards children with uh, behavioral, they call it behavioral,
Sure.
but it's really highly traumatized kids. Like
Yeah.
their environments are not very supportive or have not
Right.
been very supportive, so there's a lot of trauma stored, and seeing huge shifts and changes in them. I would love to be able to bring that into more schools, and uh, and facilitate the change of the children. But also, the adults need it too. So like I
Right.
have a whole family. I've got a family of 7 that I go to their house once a week and do breath work with the whole entire family. It's so amazing. That right there is like huge. Like to get the whole family together to do it, they're
You
healing
bet.
together. That's so freaking beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So as we wrap up here, Christina, uh, what would the Christina of today say to the Christina of 20 years ago? It's a two-part question.
Oof.
It's off the top of your head. What would she say?
Oh my gosh. Well, patience, patience and trust. Yeah.
Beautiful. And what would the Christina of 20 years ago say about the Christina of today as she observed the Christina of today?
I knew you could do it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I fought hard, Paul. It's been a journey.
There we go. Tell us how we can get in touch with you, Christina, and we'll make sure you put the comments in when we get the video post. But websites, connections, how can we reach you?
Well, I'm on www.heal.me/the lighthouse as a practitioner out there. And that's the mainstream that you can book in and actually get a complimentary 20-minute call with me as well.
Okay.
Or you can go to my main website, www.christinacoll.com, and check out everything that I do there as well. Or just email me, Kristina@KristinaColl.com. Super simple. I'm sure Paul or we'll put the
We'll put it in there.
details in the comments.
There you go. Well, I told you guys this is going to be fun wrapping up the day with a special bright light in our world. Christina, thank you so much for sharing an Empowered Soul Network.
Thank you, Paul, for having me. What a blessing.
That's a wrap for the day, you guys. More coming tomorrow. Have a good evening, Empowered Soul Network team. See you soon.
Good night.